Q&A, make sure you put them in the chat. Obviously, this is an open webinar, so feel free if you have questions along the way. Please share. I brought along a couple of my cohorts here who have a lot of experience with VAs. So this is going to be hopefully very educational for all of you, and you'll walk away with 1, 2, or 3 different ideas or strategies to be able to scale, because that's why you're here. So welcome, and welcome to those of you, if anybody's watching on YouTube. Thank you for being here. This is put on by Drunk on Social. This was actually this webinar was conceived because I posted on Lab Code Agents talking about something that I was doing with a VA team who's helping me scale. And for those of you who know myself and know Tristan, you know that we have, gosh, what, buddy, 40 plus VAs in our system now, right? More than that. So we've got quite a few VAs. We've really scaled, and we've learned as we've gone along. And the one thing I want to say about this is, for anybody who's here, if you joined this webinar today because you're looking for the easy button, you've come to the wrong place. Just because they are awesome and they're amazing and they'll help you scale, it doesn't mean it's easy. And that's where we're going to help set the record straight, and we're going to help teach you that. Christina Swyers was the one who raised her hand on the Lab Code Agents post and said, Jeff, where can we talk more about this? And I said, well, let's just go ahead and do a webinar, and we're going to make you kind of the co-host here so you can, Christina, ask questions. Christina, if you don't know, is a real estate agent based out of St. Louis, Missouri. She's with EXP, and she does a magnificent job on social. However, she's reached that point where it's like, I can't do much more on my own. And I think that's where a lot of you are. And the last thing I will say before we get into this is simply this. This is the one thing that Tristan and I have learned over the years. So most of you are familiar with Drunk on Social. You know what that platform is for. It's designed to bring you the news. It's designed to bring you the strategies. It's designed to interview the best of the best that are crushing it at social media. And obviously our journey, part of our journey has been hiring this team to scale and do more and more and more and more. But what we've learned along the way is, if you think you're going to hire a VA team or a social media team, it doesn't matter if they're in the Philippines or they're in India or they're here in the States, you got to be engaged. You have to be a part of this. This is not hiring a team and walking away and laying on the beach and business rolls in. You have to be engaged. And we're going to talk a lot more about that today, which is hiring that ancillary team that can help run your social media team, help edit videos, help write scripts, help write blogs, help create graphics, all of these things. And so with that said, if anybody wants to leave, you won't offend me. But if you're looking for that just perfect, easy button, it doesn't exist, but we're going to tell you how this works. So let's get started. And I also, oh, by the way, brought Janki Patel here, who is a great friend of ours. She happens to own 2 different VA companies, and she's a friend of ours. We've got several friends who own companies. Janki's probably one of our best friends, if not the best friend in the business. And so we wanted her here to share her insight as well, because many of you might get started that way as well. So Christina, I'm going to turn this kind of over to you to kick this off, because I know you've got questions and I want really you to lead the conversation here, and let's run from there.
Yeah, thanks so much, Jeff. I appreciate it. Yeah, I honestly, you hit the nail on the head. You know, social media, I've been building my business and using social media primarily for my business for the past 8 years. You know, after my broker wanted me to cold call and door knock, I said, nah, I'm just going to go start a Facebook business page and start posting on it. Got my first couple clients from there, and here we are 8 years later. So for me, as you know, somebody that utilizes it every day, and what I mean by that is I'm using these social media platforms that the way that they're intended, right? Because I want organic growth. I don't want to have to pay to play as much as, you know, people can just throw money at things. And I do what I need to, but I want to know like the basics. For me, like, I don't, as Janki and I were, you know, we were just talking right before this went live, you know, I I have a control problem with my business and I don't want to give it up to someone else. And so I feel like when you do that, you do these auto postings, people know that, just like they know that a chat bot is talking to them. And so they don't like that. Like, it literally, I think it will destroy your algorithm. It'll destroy your audience and the reach and the ideal client that you're trying to get from it. I don't think you will by auto posting. It's too robotic. People need to see your face. There's a lot of psychology involved in this, I feel like, behind the scenes. And so you showing up is a must. I definitely don't want the easy button, because I've built this baby for 8 years and I'm not ready to hand that off to somebody 100%. I don't think anytime soon. But if I were, like, what my main question is, like, what are those main things that I can right now today implement in my business to leverage someone like Janki or her team to really help me where I'm failing? You know, I have coordinators in my business. I'm a solo agent. I obviously can't do it all. I sell a lot of homes, but where is that fine line where all the things that I can have someone else do? Like, what are those recommendations?
Tristan, go ahead. You just unmuted.
Yeah, I think the place that you want to start, Christina, is where you're already the most popular in. So if I'm looking at social media primarily, and I look at Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, on all of them, I say, well, where are you already massively invested in? And I would say, where can I bring in a virtual assistant to help me create a bigger presence there? Because I can already tell you that even though you're doing amazing at that one place, not you specifically, but everybody in general, you're still not doing enough. So I think if you can create more content that you can pass on to a virtual assistant to then dice up to create shorter videos, a blog, maybe a podcast, maybe some great graphics that then they sent right back to you in a Dropbox link that you can then upload, then all of a sudden you start creating a lot of that content that you've been wanting to. And it doesn't take any extra effort because you're still working that one time, right? That's where I would start if we're looking at social media being my main thing.
Yeah, and I think to add to that too is you have to start by identifying what it is that you want to scale first. And so because here's the thing, and the next layer to this is let's just say you decide, I need somebody who's creative and can go into Canva and create graphic designs for me, which there's tons of VAs that are very good at that. Or I don't mind creating the videos, but I need somebody to do the advanced editing for me to make them look cooler, to have better captions on them, that kind of thing. Part of this process is it's I always equate it to marriage. Like, everybody who's married knows that, we always go through, there's an argument within our marriage where we just assume that our spouse should know what we're thinking. Right. And VAs are the same way, where you hire this person who has an expertise and you're like, I create these videos, now edit them, make them cool. And then you just want to walk away. Here's more videos. And you just assume that they can read your mind, or they know exactly what you want, or they know exactly what you need for, what you're posting here, what platform you're posting to, what your geographical area needs, what will get most engagement. And there's a level of training that goes into this that I think a lot of people struggle with, because it's no different than if you're hiring your first assistant. You hire that first assistant with a vision in mind. I have to scale. I got to get myself out of the paperwork. But there's a great deal of hand-holding for the first 3, 6, 9, 12 months that you're going to have to do with these people as you go along. And so maybe I fast forwarded a little too far there from what Tristan had said, but it does start with, okay, what do you need first? And Tristan, I know I mentioned this in the beginning, and I think we should outline this, where we see the best use of VAs. And I mentioned, we mentioned video editor, we mentioned writers that can do blog writing, script writing, email, what's the word I'm looking for? But the meat. Graphic designer, correct. But I'll tell you what I think is the most important here is a director of operations, somebody who's managing the team. And that doesn't mean you have to fast forward to that place, because you might just have one very specific need. But I think the best thing that Tristan and I ever did was hire this person who's on the Zoom here, and her name is In. And that was a big step for us. And I will say this, we didn't have a plan when we hired in the sense of we weren't sure what direction we were going. We just know we wanted to scale. And we decided in the very beginning, if I have this one person who has multiple skills, right? But then that person is now going to be responsible for hiring the next people. So the writers and the graphic artists and the video editors. That is a huge piece, not to mention she's kind of keeping the bus or the train on the tracks all the time, keeping us, planning the meetings, getting the schedule together, all these sorts of things. Tristan, I don't know what you would say to that as far as where do you go first? Do you go niche or do you go broad, knowing that if you go broad, like what we did within, I mean, we were paying her out of pocket for what, 12 to 18 months?
Yeah, about. And that's the case. I think in most cases it happens faster. You see a quicker turnaround, that you do get your money back pretty quickly. But in Jeff and I's case, we were testing out something brand new that hadn't really been done. I'm going to share with you one website that I have here. I'll just drop it in the chat for you on it there.
I also, Tristan, I also want to mention one thing. And this is where I started with my social journey, right? I listened to Tristan's podcast or, on LCA, and he has this awesome content calendar. And that was where I started with my social world. Like, I'm still not good at all of that. And I don't know short forms, long forms, and all these things I learned at the social, Drunk on Social master. I think it was the one day, right, Jeff, that we had together. I was so blown away with so much you can learn with Tristan and Jeff at that time. But it was all about short forms, long forms, YouTube, this, that. And I was like trying to take so many notes in. But that content calendar ideally is the way to go. And I just sent that over to my social media manager. And I said, here, work with this. Why reinvent the wheel when it's already there for you, right?
That's a great point. I'll share that in a little bit. But what we want to do is outline what it looks like as you start growing it. And this really, the director of operations is your admin to start off. And for us, it became our director of operations for this organization. And then we started hiring out a video editor, a marketing manager. And then within the marketing manager, you can see you have other things that you can expand into as well, right? And you can run a full-on business this way, and it's a combination of having in-house staff and a virtual staff. So I dumped that in there for you, and then let me get the latest link for the social media calendar so that you can see what Janki's talking about, because we also send it over to our virtual assistants and say, hey guys, here's what we've got for you today. For this month, so help us at least stay aligned with this. And I'll go to the easier one to read. This is for September, but at least we have an outline of how to show up. If we want to show up like Jeff does on Thursday and record maybe 10 short videos up to September 10th, we're going to sit down and record this whole process and say, okay, let's see, advice. I'm going to do one on share a technique or tip you use to remember things. Okay, I can do that. And then I go to you, post a photo with your mom, or, oh yeah, I'll take a photo from the past, or maybe I'll take one today that we can do ahead of time. And then we just keep on going like that. These are all prompts to help you understand what you're going to create, all within hopefully about an hour or an hour and a half. And now you can send it over to your virtual assistant. And now you can post every day because it's already pre-done for you. That's how we typically do it. In some cases, if we're behind, I know Jeff and I are always creating video in between as well. So you have options there. It doesn't have to be created daily. It doesn't have to be created in one sitting. It can be created however you want. But this is just something that you can use that'll help you out. Anything I missed there, Jeff or Janki, that you wanted to bring in?
No.
No, I think that's perfect, especially with the content calendar and kind of giving your virtual assistant an outline of what you expect to add on to your socials, right?
Yeah. I
How
like
do
that.
you weave that in, or how do you decide how to weave that in and show up, on a whim, or, to where it doesn't look I shouldn't say scripted. Do you get what I'm trying to say though? Like,
Unauthentic.
yes. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and so I'll tell you what we do, and so again, we're giving you the advanced version, and for most of you, like you got to crawl before you walk, and so please, if you have questions, don't throw. I mean, do throw them in the chat. There's no dumb questions. We want to help all of you here, but I'm going to tell you kind of our journey on this. And as it relates to using the VAs to also remain authentic, we build it all around video. And so, and that's really where, I mean, I know I'm saying the obvious here. You've gone to, you've gone to conferences, you've got set in virtual events. Everybody knows video, the platforms are going all video. But what we do with one video, for example, is we will say, okay, we're going to create, this is just one example. We're going to create one long form video. If we're going to make it 7 to 12 minutes, and which is optimized lengthwise for YouTube. Raw video shot with my camera, maybe a lav mic. I might have a couple of lights in here, no big deal, right? And I'm going to ship that off to our team and to a VA. And we say, okay, we want to edit this video for YouTube, and they will edit the video for YouTube. So they'll make it, sexy. They'll make it better than just raw. They will write up, they will do research on keywords. They will write captions. If hashtags are applicable, they will do that. And then, so they've got that video and they can post that to YouTube for us. But then from that one video now, they could take that long form and chop out 4, 5, 6 short form videos, edit those appropriately for TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, write the captions, write the hashtags, and ship that back to us for us to post, because geographic tagging, where you are geographically, matters when posting to those platforms. That's a part of where you need to be invested. So there's two pieces here. You got to shoot the video, and you still have to be invested to do some of the posting. Now, from also that video, they're taking still photo shots from the video and now creating graphics from that one video. So you can see how that's just one strategy, which we would argue is one of the best strategies, where you can take one video talking about something that you know a lot about, something that you're passionate about, something that's relevant to the industry. I could go on. And they can take one video and chop it up into a week's worth of content, if not more, which is a mix between long form, short form, and graphics. And it just basically scaled us. Now, all of a sudden, I take that 20 minutes to do this, and bam, I've got content that if I tried to do this by myself would probably take an entire day. Does that help answer your question? Or do you want to go deeper on the question?
Yeah, no, that really does help. And I love, being able to take a long form of something and chop it up. I think that is genius, especially like if I'm interviewing someone else or whatever it is I'm doing. If I know that I have like a 3-topic question, I can have that full interview, and then I can chop up each piece, and I can, run that as an ad or whatever I want to do on my business page. That seems to me to get a lot of engagement when I do education and tips, for clients, like if I'm targeting clients and not just agents. I just need to know like the next level. Like, to me, that makes sense, but having the VA, I feel like, can also, especially somebody that has been doing this for a while, that knows or works with other agents, that understands like our industry and like what we're actually looking to do, the end result, helping me figure out where the holes are. Like that's an obvious for me, but like, what else can I do to build upon that? Like, what am I not doing? So I think for me personally, hiring somebody, I want to be involved, like I told you, because I'm super control freak about my social media. And I want to make sure that it's hiring somebody that my clientele base, or the people that are following me, don't know that I'm hired someone else. They just think I'm getting really good at my job.
Yeah.
I'm trying to share my screen on my phone so we can show you what we use to edit videos on the fly.
Okay.
Because what Jeff and I do is we typically record on our phone. We don't record on the actual app that we're using for social. So not on TikTok, not on Instagram, not on Facebook. Right? We use an app called Viva Video. And let me see if I'll try one more time here.
And Christina, all our VAs are trained for that, right? We do have a 15-day training, hands-on training. So they would work with you as well, and that you're hands-on with the graphic designers or with the video editors, so we do have that as well.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, it's not working on here, but the app is called Viva Video, and Jeff and I go over a lot of our strategies on the social side of this for the group coaching. So we have that as well. But here's what we do. Jeff and I are always doing research when it comes to what we think will connect better with the audience. And so we're always looking at TikTok, we're always looking at Instagram, and we're not going through to waste time. We're not using it to just laugh and scroll through it mindlessly. We're
I was doing that last
going,
night, though. Last night I was texting Tristan videos, but
he was half drunk, so that's a whole.
I was not. I was not.
I'm joking. I'm joking. No, but I know. There you go. There you go. Where do you think the name came from, Christina? So the idea behind it is to actively start looking at social media as a form of prospecting, and we don't do that yet. A lot of us are still thinking door knocking, open houses, cold calling, past clients, all this stuff, but we're not including social media as important as that. And it is. It definitely is. I mean, it's changed our business dramatically, and we still get a lot of business from that. So with that, I want you to start looking at social media as part of that, and knowing that you have to invest in actually understanding what other people are doing. One of the things that Jeff and I started doing just a few days ago, and we'll share this with you right here, even though it's something new that we just did, is we started collecting. We've got 25 short videos that we thought so far have great hooks. And we haven't shared this with anybody because we're like, you know what? Let's start that. I just shared it with all of you. These are 25 videos that we've identified as strong hooks that we're going through and saying, what has made them so different that it captivated us from the beginning, and then it actually made us watch the whole thing. And some of these are a little longer than like 30 seconds or a minute. Most of them are shorter, but what we're studying is now hooks. And that becomes really important to us, because even though we have a VA team who's editing and doing everything exactly like Jeff said, and trained like Janki is training them, it still comes down to us to shoot the video, right? So we've got to do a better job on engaging with people. We've got to be testing things out all the time. And I mean, what did you add there? Jeff, morning fame. Got it.
YouTube, but Sylvia asked what tools for keywords, specifically to YouTube. It's TubeBuddy and Morning Fame. In terms of hashtags, honestly, I don't use anything anymore. I used to use, like, there's a hashtag app, hashtag expert. There's a lot of places you can go there, but the apps have become so intuitive and smart. They're actually usually giving recommendations when you're using hashtags. But I think the moral of the story here is not, this isn't about our social strategy as much as it is scaling the social strategy. And so,
right. I was going to ask on that though, the scaling, like what I'd love to see is, like, when you're training a VA to research keywords for you using a tool like TubeBuddy or anything else. That's what I'm like interested in. What does that process look like? Like, how?
Sylvia, it's not as hard as you think it is. We've done it multiple times in different industries. And what we do first is we actually have to go through, Jeff and myself, and identify what those authority sites are. that we're getting the information from. And so, for instance, if we're going deep into helping a brokerage that's in Denver, Colorado, let's just say, what we would do first is identify, well, what are the news outlets that are big there, right? Now, is there a real estate news outlet that's pretty big there? What about the national news? Do they have a section just for Denver, right? Now let's go into things to do in Denver. Is there a site there that people gravitate to, that shows up all the time about things to do? And that's the route that we take. And then once we identify those, then the next thing we do the same thing on social. We're like, who are now the go-to people for Denver on social? Because they're creating great content too, both on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. And now that we've got these two lists, now we're like, VA, this is who you're going to go to on a daily basis to get your daily information from, to create the content for us. We don't want it ripped off. We want you to always quote back, and we want you to use that content as well. And it's okay to bring them in. Bring that video that you saw in. Just make sure that you reference them. And so that's where we start. But it takes a lot of homework on our part first, because then stylizing it, we always choose 10 videos and we're like, guys, you see how Gary V and D-Rock did this video? This is exactly what I want you to do on the intro. And then you see the outro over here that was done by the Tom Ferry organization. This is exactly what we want you to do over here, right? And we get to the exactness there. And we're like, hey, guys, did you see the jump cut on minute 1 with 32 seconds? That's what we want right there. That's how precise we are.
Yeah. And part of it, there's two things I want to add to that is, number one, the skill set of VAs is incredible. You will be blown away. One question I always get is there a language barrier? And the answer is, we've never felt it. And in fact, we have a writer whose first language is not English, and he's writing for us. And I've trained him because he's writing my scripts and knows this, because we go back and forth sometimes, where sometimes I'm rewriting the scripts because I don't love them. They don't sound enough like it's me. And there's other times he freaking nails it. And so that's to the depth that you can go, but it goes back to, and I was going to share this, Tristan, that's great, I'm glad you did this, is it goes back to, you've got to do the research first. You've got to figure out, what are your sources? So is your content going to be all about real estate? Well, then you've got to have your sources that you're constantly consuming, that are going to just fill you up with content ideas. We do the same thing for social media. And then, so we found the ideas, or if it's going to be community related, you need to have your sources. Go aggregate the content, the data that's coming in from various sources. And then you then put it out as social media content, put it out as video content. A lot of what I do is I'm reading articles and blogs and this sort of thing. And I'll read an article and just think to myself, ooh, that'd make a great video. Because so many people, so many professionals, we don't want to get in front of the camera. And that's an advantage that you have to understand that you have. And if you get over it, it's going to give you a distinct advantage in your business, because we have all of these sources now. What Tristan was just showing, those are our blogs. I don't think any of them are original. We're just stealing the data, stealing the content, putting it into our own words, giving a backlink to who we got it from. And now I've got a blog. Oh, then also that article, Miggs, who's our writer, is also writing a script. So then I can turn it into a video. So now we're not reinventing any wheels here. Well, this is the process on how it goes, and how you can create, and then create so much more. Because for many of you, you might be looking at this right now and thinking to yourself, shit, I've never even created a video, or I hate video, or I hate how I sound, or I hate all this stuff. That's first and foremost. You got to get over yourself, right? You got to do that first, but you're going to suck. You're not going to be good at it, but that's where these VAs are going to come in and make you better. And what Tristan just said, for example, if you guys have seen my talking head videos and you see the captions that I use, and they're bubbly captions, and then they have little images underneath them. That was conceived because I watched other creators doing it. And I'm like, I want this let's take this to the team and have the team start doing this. And then we made it our own way. This is how this stuff works. So it's a constant evolution, but what you're seeing online or what you're seeing on social of Tristan and I is just it's been a process, and we love the process. First of all, that helps a lot. And that's why I think it's very important for any of you who are going down this path. First things first, find the content that you're going to be most passionate about. And for most of you, it's probably not real estate. That's your paycheck. That's your job. I kind of do mortgages for a living. I'm in that business. I hate that content. I never talk about it. It bores me. It bores the audience. So I'm not going to put it out. I found stuff that could bring value to my world, which is my audience, which is real estate agents, which is the real estate world, loan officers, that's value to them. You have to figure out the same thing, but lean what you're passionate about, and then hire those VAs, or start with one and you figure out. And that kind of goes back to your original question, I think, Christina, which is, where do you start? And everybody's going to have a different answer to this. In an ideal world, I would tell everybody, hire your in first, which is the director, which is kind of the cornerstone of what you're envisioning, a bigger picture, right? Now, if you're going into this saying, I just have one specific task that I need done and I need help with, then hire a specialist. That's okay. Just know that you're going to be micromanaging them. Tristan and I do not micromanage our team. That's what In does. And that helps immensely. But there's an investment in this that is going to, that there's an investment of money and investment of time that I think a lot of you aren't willing and committed to make over an extended period of time, because we all want get rich quick, and we all know that doesn't exist. And so
Jeff, really quickly, sorry to cut you off, but here's my question to everybody. How do you see yourself leveraging in your business and growing in your business? Think about that, right, Tristan? Really think about, so Jeff, Tristan, and of course myself grew. We were control freaks, Christina. I was, at least I told you that before we started this. I was a big time control freak, but I was working 24/7, never taking a minute to enjoy a vacation or spend time with family. The minute I started realizing leverage is the way to go, and I'm sure Tristan and Jeff, you agree with this, we hired that one person, we trained them exactly how to end our sentences. If I say I'm going to, she can end that sentence, that's your perfect director of ops, right? Tristan, would you agree with me, Jeff?
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing, like, I'm not worried about spending the money, as I'm sure a lot of people are. We just want to make sure we're making the right hire. We don't want to get it wrong. And I love
That's on the right hire part. Yeah, Jeff's right. And that's a big fear, but I'll tell you something that was a challenge at the beginning. Within, it took a while. It didn't just click in a month or two or three, by the way. We were very patient, and we knew that half of the problem was us, half the problem was her, because we've never worked together. So we don't know how to work together until she understands us better, right? And then finally, we're to the point now where I don't even talk. when was the last time we actually talked? I don't remember talking to In, which is okay, because I love her anyway. I text her, we text, right? But I know it's happening, and I know I watch everything happen. So it really depends on, Chloe, great question. It really depends on where you get your VAs from. Like I said, that's why we brought Janki in. Janki's got a full VA company. If you want to hire direct, you can go to her. I think hers start trained at around $13 an hour. But you won't have to worry about training them and making sure that they're doing their thing.
We do train them for 15 days. I tend to cut Tristan and Jeff off a lot. So sorry about that.
It's okay. I'm coughing, so do it all the time.
But we do, they are $13 an hour. But here's the beauty of that. And of course, a setup fee. But we are training them. We're doing hands-on training for 15 days. So they're actually getting to know you and work on your social, your social platforms while they're getting trained by our team as well. So 15 days. And then after that, we have masterminds with them, with our training team, our academy team as well. So not only are they getting educated And all this education is, given by our team of experts that have been doing this for years. So they're not just getting trained by anywho, they're getting trained by experts. So just know that.
And to answer that question too, and Janki, I'm assuming she's going to be okay with me saying this, but you got to decide what you're willing to pay for. And so if you went straight to the Philippines yourself and hired yourself, you can do it cheaper than that. But you've got to decide, and there's not a right or wrong answer here. Do you want to do all the training and maybe get them for $5 or $6 an hour? Or do you want, and again, it depends on their level, or do you want to hire a service that's going to basically be it's going to basically take away the time that took Tristan and I over a year. And so that's what you kind of have to decide. And so I think, Chloe, it's a tough answer because it's very different. It's very different for everybody on what you're willing to spend, so it kind of depends on where you're at in your business. But it's one of those things where, and this is no different than, we're talking about VAs here, but we could talk about this just in general. We all know that, like as a producer, as a salesperson, you get to a capacity and you either plateau or you decide, I'm going to take 2 steps backwards to take 5 forward. That's how it always works. And so that's the way you always have to look at it. That's scale. And not only that, as Christina and Janki have talked about multiple times, there is a level of like most of the best salespeople are the biggest control freaks. And oftentimes that's what holds back great salespeople from scaling, and they plateau. And that doesn't make it wrong or right. That maybe they're comfortable there and there's just that level. That's where they want to be. And they want to play so many rounds of golf and vacation so much. That's okay. And it just depends on where you're at. And so you're going to have to decide that for yourself. And I totally believe you need to stair step this. You have to figure out what's your budget, what can you afford, what will bring the biggest impact, probably the fastest, and that's where I'd hire first. And then I would build from there. That's where you use Tristan's, the first image that he shared, which had all these bubbles all over the place. That's beyond most of where any of us will ever go, but it gives you a good baseline on kind of how to build it.
So if we get this question, and I'm going to ask it before we get it, who do you think, Tristan, Jeff, Janki, who do you think we should hire first in the world that we live in? And we took the liberty of creating the quick tasks and duties for you for the 3 that we think are the most important: video editor, executive admin, and social media manager. Those are, in the world that we live in, to us, very crucial. And so we'll share this as well in the Dropbox. It gives you a better idea in the little chat. It gives you a better idea of what you should be looking at having these people do for you, whether they're in-house or outsourced. It doesn't matter. Just gives you a better idea of what you need to do there. And if you have any questions on those, just let us know.
And you'll notice when you look at that, you'll notice that graphic design, for example, is a skill set that many of these people have. So they can do more than just be a graphic designer. Also, another thing that Tristan and I do is we require everybody who applies to send in a video resume. So I want to kind of hear them articulate. I want to hear them speak English. But also it's a sign of, you've got to be comfortable with that. And it's actually, they've blown us away. And we've got some really impressive ones. Again, In manages this. This is the beauty of what we've built, is that In manages this for us. She's the one filtering them and then sending us the best. Again, saving us a ton of time. And but I would encourage that. So as you get to that point, whether you're hiring a company like Janki's or you're going to try to do it on your own, I would require video resumes, and then also require them to show you examples of whatever it is you're hiring them for. Because everybody you're going to be very specific in your ad, and you're going to say, I'm looking for a writer, I'm looking for a video editor. Show me examples of what you've created. Show me graphic designs of what you've created. And but you also have to be ready and prepared to show them examples of what you envision. And whether that's video, whether that's graphics, whether that's scripts, you're going to have to be invested in this. And it's still, to this day, Miggs has been with us for over a year. And like I said, he's our writer. For the most part, he's great. The scripting is where I'm still very anal, because I'm now speaking it. I'm reading it from a teleprompter and I'm speaking it. It's got to come off right from me. And so if he doesn't nail it, I spend time rewriting them, but it still helps because now he's perusing the article. All I'm usually doing is looking at a headline, glancing at the first few lines. Yep, that's a good one. Ship it off to Miggs. And then he reads the article, summarizes into a script, and then either I use the script or I rewrite my own scripts. That's just one of many, many, many examples of how we're using RVAs.
So
That
Jeff
list
and
is super helpful that Tristan posted. Because you can either see where you're inadequate as a person already doing this on your own versus what you're not doing, and you can also add and leverage out.
Yep.
So question, if you don't mind, Jeff and Tristan, I just want to mention something. Is it okay for me to talk about a little bit about the process, Jeff and Tristan, real quickly?
Absolutely.
Okay, so basically what we do is exactly what Tristan just shared with you right there. Those are the responsibilities, and those are the three VAs that we hire. Our process of hiring is so deep that we make sure we also have a linguistic coach on our team that actually trains them in their speaking skills. If they have an accent, they train them. However, for social, you really don't need that, because you need someone that's creative. You need someone that is actually creative in not only those three positions, but also creative in giving you ideas, right? Giving you social ideas as well. So we do a video interview first, and I don't do that. It's our director of ops that does that. Does a video interview, like Jeff said, and from there I go ahead and interview them, and we take it from there. There is a system that we use to make sure that they are very, very much analyzed well.
Can I add something to that, Janki, really quick? Oh, go ahead, Christina. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Add something to that, and then I want to ask another question.
We found that. So I've been using virtual assistants since 2009. So I have a lot of advantage over a lot of people, and I found that through that process, I always initially, I don't know if it's just me, but initially I wanted to go cheaper. I'm like, no, let's go cheaper. I want to save more, cheaper. I kept on pushing cheaper, and I realized slowly, because it takes a long time, slowly, that the lower I went on that scale, the less of an independent thinker I got. And it wasn't until I was interviewing, I don't know who it was, one of the interviews that I do with these awesome people, they mentioned that it's the same thing as if it's in the United States. He says, think about the lowest paying jobs over here. They're taking orders versus being independent thinkers. And the more you start paying in the Philippines, it's the exact same thing. He says, you're just paying people that now have had the opportunity to experience what it feels like to be independent thinkers and now start contributing more. I was like, oh, and then it made sense to me. I'm like, so I was going in the wrong direction. I actually need to pay more. And so to me, that made it very clear. If I want an independent thinker, somebody to come in and help me create things, somebody that I don't have to consistently monitor, I'm going to have to pay them more, because there is a separation, unfortunately, in payment and thinking.
You either pay more now or later.
Yeah.
I wanted to make a comment to end. I posted about the social coaching. Boy, I wish I had that 8 years ago. I would have paid for that over real estate coaching. Can you tell us more about that? I mean, honestly, like if somebody is like, hey, should I go hire Tom Ferry or Buffini? I'm like, no, go hire this girl that's going to teach you how to coach on social media, because that's where everything is. It's where you don't want to be, because you don't want to get on the video. I don't have a problem getting on the video. Listen, if anybody follows me, they know I have no problem getting on the video. It's just piecing my content and putting it back, but also helping me, like Jeff said, where I hit a wall or a ceiling, get to the next level and really leverage my time, because I'm at my max capacity. And so I'm interested to know like what that coaching entails. Is it like a certain level? Can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. There's basically the way I look at this, you've got three options. You can decide that you're going to go all in and really invest and do this on your own. That's what I did. That's what Tristan did. But we love this stuff. And so if you love it and you enjoy video editing and you enjoy the creativity of all of this stuff, then you probably should just allocate more time to do this yourself. And then eventually you'll run out of time and need to scale. But that's where you should start. The other option is you just hire a VA company. As we mentioned, you already know where you need to go. You know what you need to do. You don't want to do the training. You want the fastest result. Then you go to a Janki. And then the last option is like a social media coaching platform, which really the coaching is like, so for what we're doing, we have a group coaching option, which is really it's just accountability and it's ideas and it's group collaboration. And that's what that is. It's twice a month, and can put the link if anybody's interested in that in here, but that's what it is. It's just getting into our circle and having conversations every month, talking about ideas. We always go in with a very specific topic, and usually we go off base because it becomes very conversational. And then there's some back end groups that we're communicating as well.
I'll add something to that, only because I think it's a little bit more important on the group coaching side. What we do on the group coaching is really share exactly what we're currently doing to succeed, what we see that's working and what we see that's not. So we save you a lot of the headache of what isn't working, and we dive deep into the things that we think are working because we live this. I mean, not only do we teach it and live it, we're paid consultants to consult for massive billion-dollar companies. So we just thought we'd do this in a group setting to help out. And so, like, you see me on YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook and everywhere. We deconstruct everything that we're doing, what we're using, how it works, what you should do, hooks, thumbnails, tech, everything. And we do it in a group setting so everybody learns.
And then what we also do is, and this is all, and I always tell everybody this, everything that we're doing now was not conceived by us. It was conceived by people coming to us saying, can you help me with? And so the other levels are, we do what I described in the beginning, and we will literally be your brand manager for your social media. And so exactly what I described is, and you can choose your level. Do you want to do a video a week, a long form video a week, and send it in to us? Exactly what I described earlier. We do that for you. And so basically you're essentially hiring a multimedia team of VAs for less than what it's going to cost you. But that's much more intense. But again, we can put the links and you can see the same concept. There's like a menu, there's a cost, there's a menu of everything that you get. But I want to stress that's, that was conceived because we realized that not everybody is kind of neurotic as we are. We just really love this stuff. And many of you just want a means to more business and attracting more business. And because you want to stop chasing business and you see it working. And Tristan and I are so passionate about this because we're living, breathing proof. And we just tested, and it's just like, it was by accident. And if you know our stories, that's what we did. We just jumped in front of the camera, and all of a sudden we started to gain traction. It was like, holy shit, this is amazing. And one thing led to another, and our businesses have just skyrocketed. And now we're just like, how do we double down? How do we triple down? How do we keep going? And so everybody needs to, you've got to start someplace, and you've got to figure out, what do you want? Do you want to try to do it yourself? Do you have some people in place that can do it? Again, though, you just got to remember that whether you're hiring a local team, a foreign team, you're hiring somebody from Janki's, there is going to be that level of intense involvement in the beginning. As even though there's training with a platform like Janki's, they're training them on a general level. You need to train them on a micro level, and you need to train them to what you want and what fonts you want and what colors you like and how you want it edited. And they have these skill sets, but they need direction. And it's funny, actually, Tristan and I are struggling far more hiring somebody in the States. We're actually on to our second person right now, and that we're having a harder time with that. It's really amazing how that has shifted. I wish we could just have all VAs, but you can't. Ultimately, as we've gotten so big, we have to have some some people that are posting local, from the United States versus the Philippines.
Right.
Which is, by the way, let me bring that up as well. When it comes to posting, so a lot of this has been created because of Tristan and my trial and error. We've hired companies to grow our followers. Really stupid. Don't ever do that. It actually sets you back. We've hired companies to do all of our posting for us. Also, does not work. Ultimately, it does give you fluff content going out, but you're going to get no results because it's not authentic. It's not you, which is what Christina mentioned earlier. Ultimately, there's going to be, you've just got to know that different platforms, that the point of why I said this, like YouTube, for example, our team will post to, because YouTube's not paying attention, doesn't care where it's coming from. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, those matter. You have to be posting from the United States, and ultimately you need to be posting from a geographic location near where it knows you are, because that all matters. And especially for a real estate audience, most of you are selling real estate in a geographic bubble. You're not selling it across the United States. And so it's very important to understand that, I could hire a company from New York who's posting on my behalf, but now the algorithm's going to start to get confused because where's he actually at? And so you just got to understand that is one of those levels of, and this is why we created what we created, because we said it's going to be done right or we're not going to do it at all. And so those who hire us to manage your social for you, you got to know that we're invested in you. We're going to make you grow. And if we can't make you grow, then we failed you. And that's all there is to it. But we're also accountability partners. You're going to have emailing you constantly saying, where's your video? Where's your video? Where's your video? So you can't hide from us either. There's another level of that as well. And that's a good quality in a good VA and a good manager as well.
Yeah, VPN doesn't help anymore. There's a social media companies it just goes around it. They identify it super fast, especially TikTok. They have tech that just goes totally around it, which is nuts. What was I? Oh, it's Janki. Where do we get a hold of you if we want to hire you for a virtual assistant?
Let me go ahead and put the Google form. So you fill out that Google form and then we'll send you information.
Awesome. Dump that in there. And then if any of you are interested in group coaching for social media, I would highly suggest it. We tested it out already for a while, and now I'm proud to say I love it. I was in the middle before. I was like, dude, are we doing a good job, Jeff? Jeff, do we kind of suck? But now we don't suck. We're doing very good, and I love it. I learned I'm doing it with Jeff, and I'm taking notes. I'm like, oh, that was shit. I didn't think of that. Yeah. And so we're doing that all day with Jeff. It's like we're masterminding live. It's insane. And Elena, thanks. Group coaching has helped me so much. I've learned so much. Thanks, Elena. Appreciate that. Anyway, anything?
Yeah, you guys know how to find us. Reach out to us on the socials. We're happy to help. Some of you I know, and you shoot us a DM. We'll respond. If you need help, just let us know. Janki just put her contact info in the chat. We're here we want to see more of you grow. There's a ton of opportunity out there, and the reality is that technology and robots are going to take over our business. So everything that you've done traditionally, ultimately you're going to be outperformed by a robot. And the one place robots can't outperform you is on social. And that's one place you really need to scale, because authenticity is going to win in the long run. So
amen.
Awesome.
I want to know your favorite social platform to post on. You can only choose one.
It changes by the month. Right now it's TikTok, but last month it was Instagram. So Tristan?
It was Instagram, and then for me it shifted to YouTube. So I'm currently with YouTube. Mentally.
I love it.
Yeah.
How about you, Christina?
I started on Facebook. It's my bread and butter, but I'm really loving Instagram these days. It's just a different audience type, for me. But I mean, honestly, like most of my success has been on Facebook. It's still still Facebook.
That's true. I agree with you.
True.
No, yeah, that's true. That's true. That's because most of the people on Facebook are people that can make decisions to purchase and sell in comparison to everywhere else except YouTube. YouTube and Facebook the same,
Yeah.
but I agree with you.
Most 100,000 heirs on Facebook.
True. Tracy, how does Tracy, Jeff, how does Tracy set up an appointment with us to know which direction?
Tracy, just shoot me a DM on Instagram or Facebook, and I'll get you connected to Ann and we'll get something scheduled. We do that. We'll do a consultative. We'll do a call with you to help you identify what you need.
That's good to know.
I don't know if anyone answered Elena's question. When do you know when you're ready? Did anyone answer that one? When do you know when you're ready to go to the next level?
Oh,
when you feel like you need to be duplicated.
Exactly.
I guess what I'm saying is like when I'm ready to get out of group coaching and go to the next step up. I'm not sure if I like the group coaching. I love it. I still feel like I have a lot more to learn, but I've learned like so much, but I know that there's
Elena,
so much more.
You get to keep the group coaching if you level up too. So there's no loss, but I'd say if you feel like you're creating the content, but you just don't have the capacity to start editing and create the graphics and all of that. I think that's when you would talk to us and be like, maybe it's time for that.
Yeah. I mean, and to answer your question, if you don't have budgetary constraints, because a lot of you do, if you don't have budgetary constraints, yesterday is the answer. If you're doing well already, don't wait. The time is of the essence, especially on these platforms, because the faster you can start to grow the influence, the better the opportunity is to grow. Not to mention, we're also constantly talking about what's coming next. And so, I'm not saying we're the only circle that you're going to be in, but I guarantee you're in our circle. We're going to have you primed and ready, because you don't ever want to go through like everybody did with TikTok. Most of you missed the boat on TikTok. Don't miss the boat again. And be ready to jump off the minute that stuff comes out. We'll help identify and figure out how it's going to be relevant to real estate, like we did with TikTok when everyone said it was 15-year-old dancing girls. And we said, well, yeah, it is right now, but give it time, watch. And those that have embraced early are having incredible success with it. So.
Love it. Well, thank you guys so much. This is
You're welcome.
helpful. Man,
Thank you for putting this together.
Yeah, it's a hole that I definitely need to be filled, and good information. And it's what I preach to my agents and to people that I know every day. Like, show up, do the work, put it out there, post it.
That's right. That's right.
Who cares what you look like? Just do it. Nobody else cares.
You look that way either way. That's right.
I know.
Thank you guys for being on today, and hopefully we'll see you guys on a future webinar. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day.